Time and again, we hear so-called experts telling us that we need to be saving 10% of our income into our pensions in order to live comfortably in retirement. But is 10% really enough? And if not, how much of our money should we be investing in order to be financially free? Let's check it out.
Welcome to Money Unshackled, the investment channel that sets you and your finances free. I'm Andy, this is Ben, and if you like what we say, hit the like button and click subscribe. Also, if you want to support the channel, check out some of the affiliate links that we've linked to in the description below. We put in all sorts of stuff that will help you become financially free. Let's get into it.
Retirement pots, how they work. The ultimate aim of investing is to save up a pot big enough so that you can retire off of the income that it generates, so that you no longer have to work, i.e. you can retire. No matter how big your investment pot is, it needs to be self-recovering, meaning that it doesn't lose value and stays at least the same value throughout your retirement. A standard concept in retirement pot mathematics is the withdrawal rate, which most books would tell you is 4%.
This is saying that you can withdraw 4% of your investment as cash each year without your overall portfolio shrinking any further. This means that in future years your portfolio will still generate the same level of income. The 4% comes from a 7% average annual return minus an average or expected 3% inflation rate, which gives us a 4% withdrawal rate, allowing the investments to continue to grow at 3%, which maintains the same purchasing power of your investments.
Here's an example of a typical after-tax salary of £20,000. In order to continue this level of income into retirement, the person would need to have built up a retirement pot of £500,000 in order to quit work. £20,000 is 4% of £500,000, the withdrawal rate.
Now let's work these numbers through some examples and see whether 10% of your income invested, whether it's on your own or jointly with a employer's pension scheme contribution, is really enough to retire on.
Example 1. Retire 40 years from now, investing 10% of income. Investing 10% of £20,000 annually is £2,000 a year. This is what that looks like over 40 years. We've set the rate of growth to be the same as the withdrawal rate, being growth of 7% minus inflation of 3%, so 4% overall. We would consider this to be a low return and wouldn't satisfy us personally as investors, but for most people investing in a managed pension fund, this is the kind of return they might expect.
This pot size at retirement is only £197,000. This falls well short of the £500,000 we said we needed to support our current lifestyle, and that is after 40 years of hard work. Maybe your living costs will be a lot lower in the future and perhaps your mortgage will be paid off. But don't you want to be able to do things in retirement and live life to the full? If you're happy to work for 40 years and then live your retirement in poverty, then go ahead and carry on investing just 10%. But if you want a better life than this, then we can course correct right now.
Out of interest, let's see what this pot would look like after just 10 years. Here at Money Unshackled, we are all about achieving financial freedom as quickly as possible. But I think we've just demonstrated that investing only a minimal amount each year from your salary makes this impossible. Let's see what this would look like after 10 years. Example 2. Retire 10 years from now, investing 10% of income. Laughable, isn't it? Your pot size in 10 years' time would only be £24,000. The income from this pot would be about £80 a month. Safe to say, you wouldn't be retiring young following this strategy.
Example 3. Retire 40 years from now, investing 25% of your income. Here is a more realistic attempt of achieving that £500,000 and one that we hope most workers are sticking to unless they have a more active approach to financial freedom. Investing 25% of income sounds like a lot, and it really is. For most people, this would be a stretch, and a stretch too far, and only really possible if their employer is also contributing to a defined contribution pension scheme.
Over 40 long years of scrimping, your pot would hopefully have grown to around £494,000 by our calculations, close enough to £500,000 to support that £20,000 income target. This person can retire in comfort, which is just as well because after 40 years of long hard work, they are definitely due some relaxation.
But what is the point of having both time and money together for the first time when you're 70? When you're too old to live life to the max? We think everyone should be aiming to retire young, at least in your 40s or earlier if you can. Retiring from the workforce doesn't mean you have to stop making money. It means you can do what you like. If that means that you want to continue to earn money from businesses that you create and love, so be it.
Example 4. Retire 10 years from now, investing 25% of income. Obviously, following the example of the 70-year-old in the previous example will not be sufficient for us to be able to retire in 10 years' time. This is where the person would be after 10 years investing 25% of their income. The pot size would only be £62,000. There has simply not been enough time for sufficient growth at such low levels of return. In order to retire young, we therefore need to take drastic measures and take control of our lives and our finances.
Example 5. Financial freedom. In order to build that pot so it's possible to retire in 10 years' time, you need to dedicate your lives for the next 10 years in building as much money as possible and then investing it. Following the previous examples, here we see that to get to a pot size of £500,000, we need to be investing £20,000 a year. In this example, this would be 100% of our after-tax salary. Not only that, but the rate of return before inflation would have to be 20%. How is this possible?
It's not easy, and this is why most people don't in fact retire in their 30s. Firstly, you need to make your income be much bigger than what you need it to be to live on. If this person was able to increase their after-tax income to £35,000, they'd find it much easier to be able to invest £20,000 a year, as long as they didn't increase their lifestyle when their wage increased.
This can be done by attaining a qualification, which means that you can get a higher paid job. Alternatively, you can work on a side business that brings in more income. Both will require a lot of time and effort, but the payoff will come in the future when you have many years of extra life when you're financially free.
20% returns. Is this even possible? Definitely! See our video on how to make 20% returns from investing in property, linked in the description below. It's a combination of 10% capital growth from leveraged off of house price inflation using mortgages, plus 10% rental profits. You might even make a better return than this.
It's also possible to get this level of return in the stock market if you do your research and carefully hand select a number of individual stocks, but doing so is never easy. Of course, if you take the time to build a property portfolio that yields a 10% rental profits, then it blows the 4% withdrawal rate out the water. This theoretically means that you need a much smaller pot of just £200,000 to be able to live on the income that it generates, a far more achievable target of 10 years of effort. Of course, we would always want more as a buffer.
How much of my income should I be investing? It comes down to how much money you need to live on. If for you this is £20,000, then in order to escape the 9 to 5, you are going to need to be saving £20,000 a year in order to retire in your 30s. We're not saying that this is easy, and you need to make sure that you are putting as much effort as possible into building up your existing income streams and adding extra cash flow streams on the side to get you to that extra amount that is necessary. Wealthy people almost always use a combination of passive income and investing in order to build up that wealth.
And if this isn't for you and therefore have decades left to work, then you will do well to be investing at least 25% to retire at 70 with a decent standard of living. Question of the day: are you determined as we are to become financially free? And if so, what are you doing about it? Let us know in the comments section. Thanks for watching. On this channel we talk a lot about personal finance, investing and all things money. And if you want to see more great content, please click the subscribe button below.
This is Money Unshackled. See you next time.